Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversations That Make a Difference. I am Teresa Velardi, and I am so excited to have my guest, Frank Zaccari, here with me today. But before we get started, got to take care of a little bit of business. So I want to let everybody know that Conversations That Make a Difference can be seen every Tuesday from 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. with live shows that you can call into every first and third Tuesday of the month. Today we have a special edition for Frank. So you can listen live on Syndicated Dreams Vision 7 radio network in your mobile car. Your mobile. Is your car mobile? My car's mobile. You can listen to it mobile. You can listen in your car. You can listen to it on YouTube, and you can even ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 radio network. So get your apps. To learn more on the full schedule, just go to dreamvision7radio.com. And as you know, we always start with a prayer. So we're going to say the Serenity Prayer and then my little prayer that I do after that. So let's start. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It is by God's grace that we are fabulous, blessed, and highly favored, living in our greatness, using our gifts and talents, making a difference in the lives of others with passion and purpose, and all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And together we gratefully say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So Frank Zaccari, my illustrious guest, has served as a military medic in the U.S. Air Force before spending 20 years in the high-tech industry. His education includes UCLA Anderson School of Business and California State University in Sacramento. His experience includes senior positions with Fortune 50 organizations before turning around several small and mid-sized businesses. And his path has helped him learn a great deal about business and, of course, about life. Frank is a best-selling author who's written and published more than 5 books. He's published now 8 books now, right? Many of them are on life-altering events. And this book is a follow-up to the best-selling books of the series, Business Secrets for Walking on Water and Business and Personal Secrets for Avoiding Relationship Landmines. So his newest book is Business and Personal Secrets for Getting Unstuck. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's the 3rd in the 4-book series. The 4th book is going to be a compilation, which we'll talk about later on. And Frank also hosts his own show called Life Altering Events. These events occur in every aspect of our professional, personal, and family lives. They present us with opportunities to seize the moment and make a difference in our own life, as well as those around us, our loved ones, our friends, and our business associates. His many interactions with people from all walks of life are the basis for Frank's interview shows and writing career. His goal is to show people they are not alone and encourage them to keep moving forward. One of his favorite quotes is, "The secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are." Frank can help you find the rocks. So it is with great pleasure I invite my guest to join me in conversation, Frank Zaccari.
Thank you, Teresa. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk with you as well. So this book that you've written, the 3rd one in the series, which by the way, they are all bestsellers. Tell me. Yeah, it's so awesome to have you be a 3-time best-selling author in the same series. It's amazing. So I'm really excited for you. And there's more to come, right? With this 4th one coming up that we'll talk about later. But what's the biggest secret to getting unstuck?
Wow, there's a lot of secrets for getting unstuck. The biggest one is between your ears. That's the biggest problem right there, because life is life, and it's inevitable. You're going to get stuck at some point in life.
Mhm.
But so getting stuck is inevitable. Staying stuck is a choice. And that's
Yes,
where it
agree.
becomes between your ears. And so many times we follow a pattern. And four statements that I hear all the time that drive me crazy. In the business world, it's best practice. That makes me crazy. It is what it is. We've always done it this way, and that's just the way I am.
Mhm.
All right, that's where you get stuck, because now you're following a pattern. You've created these neural pathways in your brain that this is the way I'm going to think, and it's going to be an automated reaction that it's just going to happen. Because it's Sajal Thacker, who talks about civility all the time, says that you process 11 million transactions in your brain a second.
Wow.
And of those 11 million, only 50 require some kind of a decision. So most of the time you're living in autopilot. And that autopilot is making an awful lot of your decisions about what you think and what you feel, what you believe. And many times they're wrong. And you don't, unless you understand that, hey, I'm doing this in autopilot, you're not going to change. It isn't going to change.
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways you can go after it. Some are scientific, like brain entrainment. It's a program that we're putting out and putting in place where you go through sounds and vibrations, and it helps create new neural pathways in your brain.
Mhm.
Other ways are going through and having counseling. And some of the counseling that I went through was basically, I'm terrible with personal relationships were like my kryptonite. I'm really good professionally, but for personal life, terrible. And the counselor had said to me, Frank, you have to say this very clearly. She said to me, Frank, your picker is broken. And I said, well, what do you mean here? She goes, you're always picking the same type of individual. And he says, you don't even realize that you're doing it. You were the oldest of 5 children. Your job was to protect and defend and watch out for. And you carry that into your adult life, much to your detriment, because these people that you're attracted to don't need to be saved, and then nor do they want to. But that's the pattern that you've always evolved into. Hence, you either outgrow each other and the relationship ends in a disaster. So once you realize most of my decisions are on autopilot, and if I can get into between my ears, I can get unstuck a lot faster.
Yeah, that's a really great point, because in your last book, we talked about how you do anything is how you do everything. And that's
Yes.
so true for life. So what you just spoke to at this moment reinforces that unless you do something to change, you are going to be forever stuck in whatever quagmire, if you will, you're in, correct?
Exactly. And you get stuck in all kinds of different places. You can get stuck in a job. And we go through a number of episodes there. So there are two that sort of jump out at me as I was interviewing people was the money's just too good.
Yeah.
I'm working in a highly toxic culture. It's a terrible place to be, but they're paying you a lot of money.
Right.
So you're thinking, oh, okay, I'll put up for the money. And then eventually you hit your breaking point. You either sell your integrity and sell your soul, or you finally say, no, that's enough. I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can come to that decision sooner rather than later. And then the other one is, are you stuck in a job because it's a placeholder?
Mhm.
All right. Example. My wife left and I had custody of my 2 children, and they were young, 2 young daughters. And I had to leave the high-tech sector that I loved dearly. And I took over an insurance agency, which I truly hated with a passion. But it was a means to an end. And I had to get my girls through school, graduate through Arizona State, get that first big adult job. When the youngest one got that, I left. So that job, while I was stuck, it was a placeholder. There was a
Right.
means out of it, and I knew when I was going to be moving out of it. So
Mhm.
it makes it a little more palatable to deal with.
And how, yeah, I get that, because I stayed in the insurance business as a placeholder for a long time. I was an insurance agent for a long time. So I hear you about your emotions about insurance, but especially when you're a creative person, and it's like being stuck in a box and not knowing how to get out, What
Exactly.
one of the things that I think is associated with that is fear. And part of that, I want to talk about fear for a minute, only because in today's society, post-COVID and with all kinds of crazy things going on in the country, there are a lot of people who are afraid to step out of the proverbial box. So let's talk about that for a few minutes and see what you have to say about people who are stuck in fear, regardless if it's a business situation or even a personal relationship.
Fear is powerful. It's probably, to me, it's the most powerful of the emotions. And emotions are good because they're telling you something's wrong, but they can also paralyze you. And fear sometimes motivates people to take action, or it paralyzes them. It's one of those double-edged sword things. Mel Phillips, I hope I got her name right. The speaker, TV personality. She was on my radio show, and she said to me, Frank, you're going to get stuck. The question when you're stuck is if you choose to take action. And then she said, and if is the operative word. If is the operative word. It's not when, and it's not you must, it's if. So fear is a choice. And you can choose to stay in fear. And I can understand that because the last 2.5 years in the COVID world, everybody's terrified. And I still see people still are afraid to come out and to interact and to go to events, and with people getting shot at 4th of July parades. It's crazy. There's this great sense of fear. And that's when I was in the military, when they would go through, if you ever get captured, they would go through that. They will create fear, and they can control you through fear. What is it that you're afraid of? Are you afraid of death? Don Miguel Ruiz, in his book, The Four Agreements, says people are more afraid of change than they are of dying.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's something, it's hard, but you have to make a choice that I'm going to pick up the pieces. And once the fear of the status quo is less than the fear of taking a chance, that's when you're going to take a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this thing with, you still see people walking around, riding around, still in fear of this. Fear is the operative word, because you get it through the television, you get it through seeing people. I have to tell you, I passed somebody on the road the other day, single person in the car with a mask on, nobody else present. And it's like, okay, whatever. But I'm just like, and at that place, at that time, I go to a place of gratitude. Thank God I didn't drink that Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, yeah. So what are some of the ways that you can tell people to move forward from their fear? I'm looking at that in your book. Yes. And there are a few of them. It's time to learn how to lean into fear and reprogram your neural pathways to prevent it from dominating our lives. I can help you. Here are the first 4 steps we can take together. And you say the first one is find your passion. Exactly.
You're not going to get out of fear unless you find something that you want to do, something that excites you. And growing up in corporate America, as we did, there was an awful lot of people who had a job because it was something to do. It's not what they wanted. They had these hobbies and these other things that inspire them and enlighten them. All right. And they could do the job and then go, and then they would do what really turned them on.
Yeah.
So find what that is. Find what that passion, what is it that makes you excited and makes you want to get up in the morning and start whatever the day is going to be. And that's a difficult thing to do, but take the time, contact me. We'll talk it through. We'll figure out what it is that lights your fire, so to speak. And then once we get past that, then we can change some of the other paralyzing fear things. The other one is how.
Yeah.
I hear this all the time. Well, gee, Frank, I really love to do this, but I don't know how I can get it done. And how stops more people from pursuing their passion. And I tell people, and I say it in the book, and I say it in all my talks, change that sentence. Stop saying, how can I do this? And start saying, who can help me do this?
Love it.
And then find people who have been where you want to go. Because so often, Teresa, and we both know this, people surround themselves with basically little clones of themselves.
Mhm.
Same school, same church, same club, same whatever, same interests. And so if you're having a difficulty and you're stuck in a relationship or a job or whatever it happens to be you're stuck in, it's new to you. It's certainly going to be new to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You also say, be engaged and get involved. Life, God, or the universe is giving you signs. How many times have you passed up those signs? It starts with a touch, then a tap, then a push, and finally a 2x4 between the eyes. I love that. I love that.
Unfortunately, I've caught the 2x4 more than once. I think it's a case of being aware of it, being in the moment, which I've heard you say a lot, is it's there. The signs are there. And the reason you keep making the same mistake over and over again, according to Ira Moon and several other people in that world, is because you haven't learned the lesson yet.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to keep going through this till you get it right.
Yeah.
So the sooner you just open your mind to it, well, why does this keep happening? Why? Maybe I should follow this path. Let's see where it leads. Let's see how it goes. The people say, well, you just go with the flow. Now, some of that is you're just lazy, but other parts of it is, no, I want to see where this is going to take me. Is this something that's going to inspire me or to lead to a new opportunity? When I sold my company after my youngest daughter graduated, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was in my 60s. I thought, well, I'm not ready to, I don't like golf. I don't have a rocking chair to sit on the porch, and I don't like gardening. So what am I going to do when I grow up? Right. So you then start, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It's at some point when you discover what I really like doing is telling stories. What I really like doing is writing down things that have happened to me that might be able to inspire somebody else down the road. I like talking to audiences and letting them know, hey, you're not alone. This is not new.
No.
You're not weird. Everybody has this.
Yes. But however, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, some people would call that the definition of insanity.
It absolutely is. It
Right.
absolutely is. I remember I had a colonel who worked in the Air Force, and we had a guy who I ran a pediatric clinic, and someone else had a different clinic. And he kept doing the same thing. Perfect example. Kept saying same thing, same mistake over and over and over. And the colonel said to him one time, Sergeant, whatever his name was, he says, you must really enjoy banging your head against the wall. And he goes, well, no, sir, of course I wouldn't like that. And he goes, yes, you do, because you keep doing it.
Yeah.
And do you keep banging your head against that wall, hoping the wall is going to fall down? Or are you doing it because it feels good when you stop?
Mm-hmm.
All right. At some point, you're chasing an impossible dream. That was one of the chapters in the book. And we zeroed in on that one on the business side, because there's times when it's just not going to happen. And you have to be smart enough, like in your serenity prayer in the beginning, give me the courage of things I can change and the wisdom, the ones that I can't.
Yeah.
And what I saw in the business cycle, in the business world, so many times, and I came up in the high tech sector, and IBM was God. Back when I started, IBM was God. And then there was what was called the bunch. Burroughs, Unisys, NCR, CDC, and Honeywell. BUNCH, the bunch.
Yeah.
All right, now it's with NCR. And the bunch all decided, oh, damn it, we're smarter than IBM. We're taking this over. And we're going to go after IBM at their strength. So we're going to go after and get the mainframe. And I remember having been in the military and listening to this and thinking, don't fight a battle you can't win. And I'm thinking, you don't have anything big enough to compete with IBM's mainframe. So what is it we're doing? And IBM tells you how you have to communicate to the mainframe. So why are we not doing that? Right? But no, we're going to do it our way. Okay. The bunch, Burroughs is gone. Unisys no longer makes computers. NCR just does retail and financial terminals. CDC and Honeywell are gone. Honeywell's there for their power and control, but they're gone out of the computer industry. And the other interesting thing is you don't have to be the best at what you're doing. You don't have to be technically superior. You just have to believe in it and have a message to make other people believe in it.
Yes.
Okay. BlackBerry and the iPhone.
Yeah.
BlackBerry dominated. They were the dominant force. And BlackBerry's mindset was going to be back to between your ears. Not everybody needs a phone. a phone is basically a pager, and only executives need the pager. And they had to market. Steve Jobs and his people come around and said, no, everybody needs a phone. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. And then you start seeing grade school children and junior high school children with phones. Who won that battle? Is the iPhone superior? Probably not. But they had a better story. They marketed it better. They convinced people that this was something that they must have as opposed to nice to have. And that's how they moved. That's how you move mountains, and you get and take on some of those wars.
Yeah, and just the same thing as a side note to that with Apple. I remember when, I'm dating myself here now too. I remember when it was in to either have like a portable cassette player with your headphones or a DVD CD player, and then all of a sudden the iPod comes out. Next thing you know, those two things are obsolete, right?
They're absolutely gone.
Yeah,
they're gone. And a lot of it, Teresa, is you get stuck in hubris, which I see in personal relationships too. You get comfortable. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't need to put in the energy or the effort anymore. Mm-hmm. I've got what I've got. Eastman Kodak is one that I use a lot in my talks because Kodak dominated the world in phone and film and camera. They were it. And in 1976, a Kodak engineer, in 1976, invented a digital camera.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what digital was in 1976.
I know.
And he brings it to Kodak and he says, "This is the future." And the Kodak's executive said, "The future is whatever Kodak says the future is."
Oh, how? Now that was not a smart business move on the part of Kodak, was it?
That didn't work out too well. And Kodak still exists, but they're a shadow of what they once were. The other one that I get a kick out of is Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 Blockbuster stores left in the world, I'm told. One's in Oregon, not far from where my daughter lives. And and Netflix came to Blockbuster and said, "Hey, let us do the mailing service for you. We'll mail the CDs because we're past the VHSs now." And Blockbuster laughed. They said, "What are you, nuts? We dominate the market. We don't need you." Blockbuster's gone.
The whole thing I think that is the underlying thread in all of this is we have to be open to change, whether we're talking about personal development, things that we want to change in our own life, things that are changing in business. Technology is like what you bought 2 months ago is obsolete in the next 6, and it's just crazy. So hold on to those thoughts for a minute. We have to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back right after these messages with Frank Zaccari. I think.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit, For over 40 years, Omega has seen more than 1 million people come through its doors to grow, learn, and find a greater sense of purpose. With over 350 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. And before we continue our conversation with Frank, I just want to mention that many of you saw the show with the ladies from the Freedom Reigns retreat. And I just want to let everybody know that's happening this weekend. If you still haven't gotten your tickets to go, you can go to Freedom Reigns, that's RAINS, retreat.com. And guess what? We're going to give you $100 off with a promo code F as in Frank, R as in Reigns. And it's the number 100, FR100. So I hope you'll be able to join us. We've got some really great things planned. So back to Frank right now. So the next thing I want to talk about is, we talked about doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But what you say is number 3 in your moving forward section of getting out of fear is to be ready to take the first step. Nothing changes until something changes, right, Frank? Okay.
Exactly.
So you've got 2 really great quotes here that I want to cite. Courage is the commitment to begin without any guarantee of success. And that's Van Gap. And Dr. Martin Luther King said, and I love this, faith is taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase. So let's talk about you've had a lot of situations in your life where you certainly have had to make changes. You raised 2 girls on your own. What's your advice for people who are stuck and I call them stuck in the what ifs? Like, if I take this step, what's going to happen? What if? And that conversation is fruitless. Yes?
Absolutely. That conversation gets you absolutely nowhere. It's a very difficult thing because most people aren't going to change. They're in their comfort zone. They're not going to change. Mm-hmm. Example, I was a medic in the military. We had a guy that came in with a heart attack multiple times, overweight. And I don't know how he stayed in the military as overweight as he was, but multiple times he came in. The doctor said, this is what you got to eat. Here's your diet. Here's how this is what you're going to do. But the 3rd time he came in, I'm working midnight shift. And I walk into the room and I'm checking out things and I find Big Mac wrappers underneath his bed. Now his family is bringing food in that he wants to eat. And so I pointed it out to the nurse. The doctor came in and point blank told him, you are going to die if you don't change. 6 months later, he died.
Yeah.
People do not want to change.
Exactly.
So the key is something has to shake you to your roots almost. And then once everything you think is shattered, like in my case, now I got these 2 little girls that I have to raise alone. It was, well, let's pick up the pieces and let's start moving forward, even if it's a half a step. Mm-hmm. And some days it's going to be 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards, but you just keep going forward. And you have to keep believing that if I continue to go, put 1 foot in front of the other, I will get eventually to where it is I want to go. I may not get there quickly and it won't be without pain, but you eventually will get to where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can relate to, the situation about the guy in the military because, that's something that I've struggled with all my life. And there have been times when I have had success because I make the commitment. And what's this? Courage is a commitment to begin without any guarantee of success, and you make the commitment and you just keep going forward, putting, as you say, 1 foot in front of the other. And then you got to watch out for the saboteurs. That's the family that brought the Big Mac to the hospital while the guy was in the bed, hooked up to whatever, so you got to get rid of those people too. Mm-hmm. All right. And then you said, you talked about this earlier, stop worrying about how you'll get there. Asking how is the wrong question. The question you should be asking is who can help you get there? So, and if you keep your eyes open, those people will show up in your life, because it's my opinion that God wants us all to be successful. And if we pay attention, the people who we need to join the party, so to speak, will show up. Agreed?
Absolutely. And they will come in many shapes and many sizes, many forms. You just often aren't looking for it.
Exactly.
And it circles back around. And it's that until you get hit with the 2x4 sometimes. And then you realize, hey, this person is in my life for a purpose. There's a reason for it. And I was going through with a divorce, and I was going with one counselor, and she said, Frank, first off, we're going to change this term, soulmate. He goes, it's nonsense. He says, soulmate is somebody who comes into your life at a moment in time when you need to accomplish something. That's how you need to think about it. It's not someone who's going to be with you forever and ever, amen, like we make it up to be in the movies. A lot of people are going to enter your life to help you get to point A, from point A to B. And then there may be other people or other situations that get you from C to D to E, etc. And you have to be in a constant learning mode. As you said, open mind, always be learning. What else can I do? How can I make this better? What else can I do that I enjoy? And that's the magic, Teresa, is you got to do what you love doing. You're going to be miserable.
Exactly. I agree. And, so I believe that here's another thing that really helps me to strengthen my resolve and doing what I'm doing. I love doing what I'm doing. And the reason that I love it is because most of what I do comes easy to me, because I came with the talents that are necessary in order to be able to do what I'm doing, whether we're talking about making pottery, whether we're talking about, helping people like you, Frank, get their books published, whatever it is that is before me that I have the talents for, it becomes easy. If I'm trying to go, swim upstream, most of the time it doesn't work. That's when you delegate. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of people are afraid to delegate because they want to micromanage a project, or they think they can do it better than you or me. How much of that do you see, and how much does that leave you stuck?
God, that's enormous. There's when I was coming up, that was kind of the way it was. It was content knowledge. So I know more than you, therefore I'm more important than you, and I'm more powerful than you, and I get paid more than you. Okay, well, that's gone by the boards, because, as you said before, what's relevant today in a year and a half or 2 years isn't going to matter anymore. Mm-hmm. All right. So the key, and the people who are going to differentiate, are the ones who are constantly learning and knowing, I'm not any good at this, but Teresa is. So I'm going to bring Teresa into my organization because she's really good at this. And I'm going to get out of the way and let Teresa run with that ball. And then I can basically run interference for her, and then bring other people in who are better in their area than I am, or it's just something I don't like doing. All right. Now you get an environment where it's not toxic, and people are willing to talk, and they're willing to have ideas. And it was at this one place, and we're doing a brainstorm session. The old brainstorm, right? 1,000 things on the wall. And
yeah, exactly.
And the rule was, there are no stupid statements. And yeah, there really are. But for that event, no, they're not. And you write them all down, and okay, good. And then you read through them. Okay, now of the 50 we have up there, everybody pick 4. All right, now let's start reading it down. Now I got 4 people involved, and I got 16, not 50. And you start moving it down. So now you're getting a collaborative mindset. And now people are starting to think about which ones do really make the most sense. And you don't have the old autocratic boss pounding on the desk yelling, this is the way it's going to be because I said so. Yeah. Right? That didn't work back in the 50s and 60s. It certainly doesn't work now.
Today, exactly. Oh man, so good. So you can't, and that's, like I delegate a lot of what I do to some people who have a better skill set in certain aspects of the publishing, so I gratefully and graciously give to them what I don't want to do or can't do myself. The biggest thing that I think is a benefit for everybody is a good attitude, gratitude for doing what you're doing because you like what you're doing. And the third thing is the boss isn't going to yell at you because you didn't do it his way.
That's huge. That is huge. I do a workshop at Arizona State periodically for aspiring entrepreneurs. And that's the one thing that I get a kick out of. The first time I did it, they're young, they're 18, 19, and they're on their phones while I'm talking, right? And the professor who had me come in to do the workshop she's getting a little annoyed, and she says, guys, Frank, Mr. Zaccari is here. And I said, it's fine, don't worry about it. After about 10, 15 minutes, they put their phones down, and then they're looking at me as I'm talking. And I said to the professor afterwards, I said, you know what happened there? And she said, they're being rude. And I went, no, they're fact checking. I'm talking, I'm making statements. They're validating whether what I'm saying, whether you're full of baloney or not. All right. As soon as they see you don't know what you're talking about, it's over. And I see that in corporate America all the time, particularly when, well, this is how we do it. Well, why? Well, because we've always done it that way. Well, what if we did it this way?
Yeah.
Wouldn't this make more sense? Wouldn't this make it more? And the people in marriages or in relationships or in business who keep saying, no, this is how it's done. All right. Now, unless you're talking about defusing a bomb, which you kind of have to follow the instructions verbatim on that one. But for most anything else, there's always another way of accomplishing something.
Yes.
All right. So listen, because maybe this will be the change. The best one I ever saw, Teresa, was in 1984 Super Bowl, and Apple was just coming out with the Apple II, and it was a commercial, and it was at the Super Bowl, and they had like these robots, and this was IBM marching, and this young guy comes running into this thing carrying like Thor, and he throws the hammer into the screen, and the screen explodes, and then it's Apple, a new way, right? That's the kind of mindset that is that makes innovation happen, because innovation very rarely comes from the top down. As much as executives and senior level people and former CEOs want to think that we're the one driving it, we're not. It comes bottom up. It's the people closest to the problem who have the best ideas and suggestions, if you're willing to listen to what they have to say and not dismiss it because, oh, you're the minimum wage clerk. Well, the minimum wage clerk probably knows more about what's going on than you ever will.
Yeah, because they're talking to the customers. They're hearing what the customer wants, what the customer needs, and then they bring it to you. And it's your job and the upper echelon to figure out how to make it happen so that the customer is happy. Because without the customer, nobody wins, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Starbucks had a great example when Starbucks, when it was always opening new stores, there was a big boom, hey, Starbucks, but then their same store sales are dropping radically. All right. And particularly in the summer. And so they're trying to bring this up. So one of the managers was in Santa Monica, California, and none of them had blenders at that time.
Yeah.
None of these coffee shops had blenders because blenders slow down the line. Blenders break down, they increase costs, blah, blah, blah. Whoever thought anybody would pay $5 for coffee, right? So this young person brings a blender from home, starts making blended drinks, puts them out where people can sample them, and the people loved them. They loved it. Now, Starbucks, to its benefit, said, wow, we might be onto something here. Maybe we should move in that direction that this young individual came and none of us thought of it. And how'd that work for Starbucks? 26, 28, $30 billion. I don't even know what the revenue is anymore. But that's something where you pay attention, because innovation and ideas and sparks in your life and your personal life, they can come from anywhere.
Yeah. It's
just beware and be open to the possibilities.
Yeah. And it's, talking about that, where you say they can come from anywhere. I have a friend who is what I call an idea factory. And she comes up with all these ideas all the time. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, so how are you going to make it happen? And what I have discovered in the time that I know her is that some of the ideas that she has come up with, which have been great ideas, have come to fruition through someone else. And she would go, I had that idea. Yeah, but until you take action on the idea that you get, it's going to find some way to somebody else who's going to make it manifest. So, how many times she's been doing one of these, if only, or I could have had a V8 kind of thing. And the next thing you know, that idea is somebody else's money-making machine. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So when you have an intuitive hit like that, I'm not the business coach, but I'm on behalf of Frank, do something with it, right?
Do it. Lay it out. Take it to at least to the next level. And doors will start opening up for you. Because as we said in the beginning, the universe has this, the universe says this thing is going to occur. Now, it's going to occur with you or it's going to occur with somebody else, but it's going to occur. Okay. So if you're aware, wow, this could be something, and then and you've surrounded yourself with a network of people who've been where you want to be. Okay, I don't know how to do this, but they do.
Yeah.
Or they might.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's collaborate on this. Let's see if this can fit.
And that's a huge thing. Collaboration rather than competition works wonders. You don't always have to be in a competitive head-to-head conversation with somebody who might be doing the same thing. If we're doing the same, if you're doing part of the business better than I do, and I do part of the business better than you do, let's put our skill set together and make it happen. And with that, we have to go to the next break, and we'll be right back with Frank Zaccari. Thanks so much for listening to Conversations That Make a Difference. We appreciate you.
Darkest hours to brightest moments, transformation from despair to happiness, and chaos to clarity. Real people, real pain, real healing. Life-threatening illness, death, abusive relationships, divorce, and overcoming addiction are challenges these men and women faced head-on. See how they emerged stronger and happier. Buy the new book, Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change by Reverend Patricia Caginello and Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. Available on sacredstoriespublishing.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back, and let's continue. This is going so fast, it's crazy. Let's continue our conversation with Frank Zaccari. You know, it's so interesting. The first book was Business Secrets for Walking on Water, right? And ironically, right after I said that about collaboration, there was a chapter on the importance of collaboration. So, so go ahead and get yourself a copy of Business Secrets for Walking on Water. And what's the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are, right? Step on them, don't trip over them, right?
Absolutely. It's not magic. It's just be around people who can help you get to where it is you want to go. And that's the main thing here. Before the break, we were talking about corporate competition, and when I came up, they always wanted to pit you against each other, and it was almost like you're throwing the Christians to the lions. Who's going to come out? And what it ended up doing was harming those companies in more ways than they can imagine, because people were withholding information, or there was corporate sabotage going on, and people would sabotage someone else's project. Okay. Well, now as I've started doing these workshops the last several years with these young students, they don't think that way. They are more than willing to collaborate. And I found this, Teresa, when I was raising my daughters, and they were 10, 11 in that age range, and they were going to get something. They had to, and that's what started the cell phones, right? They had to contact 15 friends to ask what they thought about whatever it was that they were doing. And I just thought, that must be a female thing. I'm never a teenage girl. I don't know what, but no, that's collaboration. Yeah. That's let's get input. Let's be open to what someone else has to say or think or feel, because then I can make a decision based on good input, as opposed to, well, I think this might work, or let's collaborate and get some thought processes going. And the young people, they're not afraid to make mistakes.
No,
they're afraid of somebody screaming at them, but they're not afraid to make mistakes, because they take the attitude that I'm one step closer. What did I learn from this? As opposed to, you screwed up, you're useless.
Yeah. Well, that's like the theory behind WD-40. WD-40 is the 40th try to make the solution work. So that's exactly the reason for that. And then the other one is, avoid relationship landmines. Whether you're talking about business or you're talking about personal relationships, these books will give you knowledge in every area of your life, because as we said earlier, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so there's a lot offered in these 3 books, bestsellers all the way around, every single one of them. Congratulations, Frank. I couldn't be more happy for you. I'm going to switch a little bit to what's next. So talk to me about what's next. Going on.
What's next is I'm a veteran, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and one of the things that I've seen with veterans is they seem to do better in the business world, at least in the early stages. Okay. And I thought, all right, look, why? What's going on here? All right. 50 to 60% of businesses fail within 3 years, 80% fail within 5. Veterans have a much higher ratio. Why is that? Veterans had to learn ways around things. It's not, this is the blueprint. And people say, well, the military, you don't think? I said, yeah, you do. Yes, there's a way to do it. And yes, they document everything. But all right, now what do I do when it goes awry? And it goes awry in a hurry. Yeah. And they also teach all the way down the line that you, sergeant, may have to be in the command of this thing should the unthinkable occur. Now you're going to have to lead whoever survives out of this. And so there's this ability to think on your feet, to focus on the mission. And this is what I really loved about the military was they always say it's the mission, it's the mission. I said, no, it's not. It's not the mission. It's the relationship and the trust that you build with the people that are in the mission with you. That's the difference between success and failure. That's what you learned in the military.
Yeah.
Is how do I build that esprit de corps? How do I make sure everybody knows what to do and when to do what to do? Okay. And so I thought, well, let's see. There's an awful lot of veterans out there. Let's put a compilation book together and let them tell their story. what did you learn in the military that helped you become successful once you got out? Because that transition, and I don't care if you had a very cushy job in the military, when you get out of the military, go back to civilian life, it is traumatic.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference, because a lot of it is, there's the black and white of the military, and then there's all this gray on the outside. Now I was talking to one colonel, retired colonel, very powerful position, right? And he's working and he's doing, he goes, how do you do this in the outside world, Frank? He said, I can't get anybody to do anything. He goes, I'm giving orders. And he goes, well, stop, Colonel. First off, you're not in the military anymore. And number two, no one gives a damn about your orders. Okay. You have to convince them that what you're doing makes sense. And not only what it is, but why it makes sense. And then you'll see them come along with you. You just can't say, you can't be Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. That's a direct order. Okay. Who cares? Nobody cares. So we've gotten, we're trying to get 30. We still got some openings available for veterans. I want you to tell your story in your words, what you went through, what you saw, and how that helped you when you got out, and what value that brought to you in the success that you're finding outside of the military. There's a great deal of confidence. Military people are very confident. They don't ask for help most of the time. They try to figure it out on their own. So it's a double-edged sword here. Yes, they're very good, but you need help. And asking for help and accepting help from people who can actually help is the biggest challenge that you're going to face. And that's what I think we're going to see with this book that the veterans are going to write. And I'll have things in the beginning and the end. We have Larry Broughton, who's the head of his own hotel chain, Special Force military. He's going to write the foreword. And Dennis Pedigo is who's an Air Force veteran. He's going to do an introduction. And it's interesting because veterans want to help each other.
Yes.
There's just this unwritten law that you always reach out to help somebody. Maybe it goes back to that no person left behind model that we were trained into, but we will always try to help each other.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that because again, it goes back to collaborating, like, giving somebody a hand up and helping them with whatever they have next, or, really being supportive of one another. So you have a bunch of stories. You're looking for 30 stories to come into this book, along with Larry Broughton. Larry Broughton is I know Larry, and he's an amazing man, amazing businessman. And he's just one of the nicest people on the planet. And I'm just so grateful that he's going to be part of this book with you, because he brings his own brand of information to the table.
Yes, he does. He's direct and to the point, and what he has to say matters. One thing that I was a medic in the military, and one of the things that we learned in training, if you were in a war zone, is the trust factor. So if somebody is hit in a firefight, which they don't have firefights like that anymore, but and the medic gets up and yells, "Medic up," multiple people would get up and spray the area to give the medic an opportunity to go get the wounded and bring them back.
Right.
That's trust. That's respect.
Exactly.
And you don't even think about it. You just do it because it's the right thing to do.
And are you seeing some of the stories that are coming in are focused on that aspect? Because that translates very well into business, so we only have a few minutes left. So I want to hear what you have to say about that. And then I want you to tell everybody how they can get the information on more information about the book itself, how they can get involved, and where to go to get that information.
Absolutely. Yes, the stories are coming in, and they're all about service. They all have that underlying theme, service for life. One gentleman said to me, he said, "Hey, when you got your DD 214, which is your discharge paper, your commitment to service didn't end. That commitment was for the rest of your life."
Yes.
And that's what I see throughout this commitment to serve. How you can get to the book, my website is frankzaccari.com. It's not the most original on the planet. And in there, you will see how to become an author. And you click on that, And we even list, here's the things that here's 16 items that you can follow to write your story.
Mm-hmm.
We have editors like you and publishers like you and Kat who were there to help. So just put your story down. We'll help edit it and tune it up. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be an English major. But that's how you find out where it is. It's a compilation book. And basically, we're telling veterans and everyone, create your own legacy.
Yeah. Because
these are stories that are going to go away when you go away. And these need to live on. These stories within your family, within the next generation and the generation after that.
Yeah. And sometimes you may not even be able to verbalize the stories, yet you can write them down. And, you're the only one. The person writing it is the only one who can actually relive the circumstances of whatever the story is and put them down on paper so that somebody else can kind of be peeking over their shoulder watching it happen. And that's what I love about bringing these stories to life. So Frank Zaccari, ZACCARI.com, and go to be an author.
Become an author. And we'll give you all the guidelines and how to write the book and the questions that you can follow. So you can, how do I start? Well, here's how you start. There's where it is. Yeah. And then when it comes in, we do a tune-up on it. And then we've got professionals like yourself who fine-tune it, and we go from there. Yeah. And it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I'm not military. My dad was Navy. He passed away like 20 something years ago. I heard some of his stories. His best military buddy is my godfather. So the relationships that you guys built and women now in the military, they are, they're for life. It's like you said, service for life, and what you're doing is a service to those in the military. So thank you for your service in the military and your service to those who are sharing their stories so they can be distributed all over the world. Thank you, Frank Zaccari.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you more than you know. I appreciate you. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for this edition of Conversations That Make a Difference. Is there anything last minute that you have to say before we go?
Last minute is getting stuck is inevitable. Staying stuck is a choice.
Yes.
Life is a choice.
Yes, absolutely. Choose to make a difference in your life, in the lives of those around you, and the lives that you work with, of the people that you work with, and the lives that you have coming into your world, like little ones. They need guidance in this crazy world that we're in. They need people who love them and can support them. And your family to me is everything. There was a recent situation where I thought I was going to lose one of my family members very close to me. And it's a scary kind of thing. So you kind of like snuggle up a little closer, embrace a little more, call a little more often, and it makes a difference in the lives of those people that you love. So
yes, it does.
Yeah. With that being said, I invite you, let every conversation that you have make a difference in the life of somebody else. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our producer Rachel and to our station owner Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy.